You're watching PIX on Politics Daily with Dan Mannarino.
And welcome into PIX on Politics Daily. I'm Henry Rosoff, in for Dan, as I am every Friday. And there's a lot going on this weekend. If you haven't heard, there's a pretty big snowstorm and a pretty big test for the young Mamdani administration. That focus is really on the sanitation department. We're going to talk about something else that the mayor has really been focused on, particularly working with his Department of Consumer and Worker Protection, singular. And I just got that clarification from the new commissioner of the DWP. CP. So close. And then I botched it on your intro. Sam Levine, how you doing today, sir?
It's great to be here. DCWP Commissioner.
DCWP. There we go.
Thanks for having me.
So hotel junk fees. Yeah. What do we need to know?
They're illegal in New York starting in a month. This week, we announced a final rule. So this is the force of law that says hotels cannot advertise one price and then charge a different price when guests show up. And I think one really important thing about this law that might surprise people, it certainly protects people coming to our city, whether it's for the World Cup or anything else New York has to offer, but it also protects New Yorkers traveling. So if you're a hotel or you're a booking company advertising to the people of New York, you need to advertise the full price of a room up front. And you also need to disclose whether, and this is the first protection of its kind in the country, you also need to disclose whether you're going to put a credit card hold on people. Especially for low-income travelers, this can be a real challenge when they get surprise credit card holds that reduce their ability to spend money.
And so that people know what these fees look like so they can spot them, perhaps report them if they're still going on, because it wouldn't be unreasonable to assume that perhaps in the first few months of enforcement, this is still happening and they need to let your office know. What do these fees look like on your bill?
Yeah, well, first, we are really trying to get the word out, to your point. So, if people see fees like, and often, at least for me, when I've seen it is when I show up at the hotel, they say, "Oh yeah, you've prepaid, but there's a $50 resort fee. There's a $75 destination fee. There's a $35 amenity fee, and we'll give you a free bottle of water." That's the kind of hidden fees that we're going after. If consumers are seeing those, if New Yorkers are seeing those, we want to hear about it. Yeah, we recognize that hotels have to come into compliance. But at the end of the day, it's deceptive to hide these fees, and we're going to be monitoring the market ourselves. But New Yorkers are our eyes and ears. We want to hear from folks if the law is being broken.
And the idea here is that the hotels will be required to presumably bake this into the price, which is not necessarily a bad thing, because then consumers can compare apples to apples when they're shopping hotels, right?
It's not only that it'll allow consumers to compare apples to apples, but I really believe it is going to lower the actual prices, because now, under the status quo, hotels aren't really competing on price. They're competing on how well they can hide the price, right? Like if a consumer is looking at 4 hotels, they might not know what the actual lowest price offering is because of the hidden fees. Once this rule goes into place, hotels have to be honest about what they're actually charging. That's going to force them to compete, and it's going to reward the hotels that charge the least and punish those that are ripping people off.
Now, a piece of this that you mentioned that I think New Yorkers might be keenly interested in, because again, if you're booking a hotel in New York City, generally that means you're a tourist, and the tourism industry is important. I'm not belittling it, but when most New Yorkers book a hotel, it's outside of New York. Yeah. So would this even apply to, let's say someone books a nice vacation in Mexico, Bahamas, Caribbean, something like that, not an uncommon trip for a New Yorker to take. Even then, there can't be a quote-unquote resort fee, right?
That's exactly right. If you're advertising to the people of New York, you're within the jurisdiction of DCWP, and we can take action. So if New Yorkers see these fees, maybe when they show up at the resort in Mexico, they should still report it to us. And we're prepared both to enforce it ourselves and to work with partners around the country to make sure these resort fees are a thing of the past.
Zooming out a little bit, I would say that one of the big tent poles so far of the Mamdani administration has been going after junk fees, not just hotel junk fees. Tell me about the announcement you made last week, which I know we covered a little bit, and more broadly, your philosophy as far as trying to use the power of your office.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So the mayor issued 2 really bold executive orders that I think are going to have a direct impact on reducing costs for people. I'm losing track of time, but I think it was last week. One of them went after junk fees, directed DCWP to lead a citywide junk fee task force to crack down on these fees. And another executive order directed us to crack down on subscription traps. I'll just briefly walk through what that looks like.
Please.
And on junk fees, these show up everywhere. We talked about hotels, but it's not only there. People booking concerts often see these fees. People paying their taxes this time of year might find that these tax agencies try to charge upfront fees, which are illegal. People renting properties, people renting apartments here in New York might find that there's one rent advertised and there's an additional fee on the back end. We're looking across the board, across our jurisdiction, across the city government to crack down on these fees throughout the New York economy. Subscription traps, I think, is a related issue. It's another way companies are ripping people off. For New Yorkers who maybe joined a gym in December or January, they might decide in March that they don't need to join that gym anymore.
You gave them all the way to March, huh? In that analysis, you didn't say right about now in late January.
I'm being charitable.
I know.
It needs to be easy to cancel. I have heard and experienced horror stories where gyms are saying, you have to send us a certified letter and fold it into origami and show up at a certain time. No, gyms need to make it easy for people to cancel, just like all industries. All companies need to make it easy for people to cancel. You're going to be hearing a lot more from our department about our expectations there over the weeks to come.
When the mayor was transitioning into office, he talked often about immediate, tangible results. It feels like he and the administration you're now a part of seems to have found a way to do that economically through your office, to move very quickly through rulemaking.
Yes.
We should expect that to continue?
You should. I mean, my philosophy is we have a good set of tools the city gave us to protect people from fraud, deception, junk fees, subscription traps. We're going to use them as much as we can in every way we can. The message I've sent to the hotel industry and to other industries across the city is don't wait for a subpoena. Certainly don't wait for a lawsuit. Come into compliance with the law now. Lower your costs now. Eliminate those fees now. My expectation is that New Yorkers will start to see these fees. They will start to see these fees go away in a lot of these industries, and that's the trend I want to continue throughout the year and throughout our tenure.
I'll end by asking you to kind of lift the curtain behind the scenes a little bit on the first few early days of the administration. What has the communication and collaboration been like behind the scenes? How does the mayor, and I'm not trying to break confidences here, but I think people want to understand how Mayor Mamdani operates. So how does it work when there's a bunch of you, several commissioners, deputy mayors around a table? What's that collaboration like? How has it been going sort of behind the scenes?
Yeah, it's been fantastic. And I would make 2 points that really stand out to me. One of them is I've been in consumer protection my whole career. I was in the Biden administration. I worked in state government. I've never worked with the chief executive here, the mayor, as committed himself to consumer protection as Mayor Mamdani and bringing down prices. He is deeply invested in the work we're doing. He is deeply supportive of the work we're doing. He is, it was an honor to stand alongside him when we announced his administration's hotel junk fee rule. This is core to his agenda as mayor, and we're really happy to be a part of it and to have that uplifting by him. The second point I would make is that I have seen and heard from other, consumer protection agencies around the country that sometimes they're prepared to do really something very bold, and then City Hall or the state capitol or the governor's office gets a call and from some industry folks and, water this down, don't file this, asking for special favors. In my conversation with Mayor Mamdani, the only conversation we have is what is right for the people of the city. How are we going to lower costs for the people of the city? This is an administration that is here for working people, not for the most connected lobbyists and companies. And I think that's reflected in the actions we've taken today.
Sam Levine, Commissioner of the Department of Consumer and Worker Protection. I got it right that time.
You got it.
When I don't abbreviate it, I get it right.
It's easier then.
But thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks
We'll have
so
to have
much.
you back as you roll out these initiatives.
That sounds great.
And that'll do it for this edition of PIX on Politics Daily. Again, we here at PIX 11 are monitoring the snow situation. We actually just heard from Mayor Mamdani, and he said on Monday it would either be a virtual or in-person school day. So sorry, kids and parents, no traditional snow days. It looks like the trend from the Adams administration continuing under Mayor Mamdani. Traditional snow days, they seem to be a thing of the past in New York City. But stay safe out there this weekend. It's going to be a rough one. Batten down the hatches, get some groceries, and I hope everyone stays safe. That'll do it for this edition of PIX on Politics. I'm Henry Rosoff. You just heard from Commissioner Sam Levine at the Department of Consumer and Worker Protection. Be sure to check out Big Pop Friday today night at 6:30 with a re-air Sunday morning. Have a great day.